At the beginning of this conference, Father Arturo Sosa remarked that probably the most urgent and existential threat of our time is the ecological crisis. I was very happy that he said that because I believe with all my heart that that is the truth. And if we don't pay attention and do more work and accelerate our efforts, that we are going to be in a lot of trouble. And many of the other things that are so dear to us won't really matter because we're going to be in a constant state of emergency. I thought I would start by setting the context of sort of where we are on this planet when it comes to the tipping points of environmental sustainability. And this is a really important piece of work that is done by the Stockholm Resilience Center. It's called Planetary Boundaries. It's where they define how much abuse the Earth can take. The Earth has a certain resilience. So we can take fish out of the oceans, and we can take trees out of the forest, and it will recover. But when we abuse it too far and we cross the tipping point, it makes the planet, it reduces the planet's resilience, and it is unable to heal itself. The round circle of green in the middle demonstrates the tipping points for 9 very important environmental crises on our planet. If we stay within that boundary of the green line, the Earth can recover itself. But you can see here that we have transgressed 6 of the 9 boundaries by a long margin. So that includes biodiversity, the loss of biodiversity. It includes climate change, novel entities, which is all of the 350,000 new chemicals and plastics, forever chemicals, PFASs, that we put into the environment that are unregulated. The environment cannot break those down. Animals, plants, bacteria, and humans are becoming sick because of all of the chemicals that we're putting into our environment. So to just take a look at how far outside of what is called the safe operating space for humanity we have already moved. It's kind of surprising that not everybody in this entire room has cancer, although many of us do. Next slide, please. This is to show you that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, has been the watchdog worldwide group of scientists that are helping us to understand these boundaries and our tipping points, and also what we need to do to keep within a 1.5 degrees Celsius increase in global temperature, because that's the tipping point for Earth systems. That's when Earth systems all begin to collapse. And last year, we passed that tipping point. We had a full year of 1.5 degrees Celsius heating. So we can't mess around here, and we can't say that we've still got another 50 years before this becomes a real crisis. It's a crisis last year. And this is something that we really need to pay attention to. And my final slide is to show you that Amnesty International conducted a survey around the world of young people, asking them, what are the most important issues to you that you see in your country and in the world? The top issue for Generation Z is climate change. The second one is chemical pollution. Third is terrorism. Fourth is the loss of our natural resources, our oceans, our land, our forests. So 3 of the top 4 have to do with the degradation of our environment. The panel that we have here today is going to talk about, we're going to have sort of 2 halves to this work. The first one is going to be an inventory of all the work that we have done collectively as a group and as a Society of Jesus to address Laudato Si in the last 10 years, and this is the 10th year anniversary of Laudato Si. So we're going to hear an inventory of what we've done, and it's worth celebrating, but it's not enough. We're going to then spend the second half of our time looking at organizations that have done really neat things, sharing some best practices, and making a bigger call to action for us to accelerate our efforts. So I would now like to introduce Father Roberto Jaramillo, who is the Society of Jesus Director for he's the Secretary of Social Justice and Ecology Secretariat at the, whatever your title is. Please come up. He's going to give us a synopsis of the inventory that was done across the entire Society of Jesus on our eco-social work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Thank you, all of you, for inviting me, Joseph and Luis Fernando, for this assembly. It's good to be in my home province for some time. I will wait for the presentation. In the first semester of 2024, the Social Justice and Ecology Secretariat of the General Curia created a survey to evaluate how Jesuit communities and institutions in the whole world have responded to the fourth universal apostolic preference, collaborating in the care of the common home. The survey was initially designed to serve as a baseline to assess the state of the fourth UAP in the middle of the process period in 2025. They were promulgated in 2019. Next, please. And next, please. The survey was conducted in the second semester of 2024 with significant help, collaboration, and remarkable generosity from Iberoamericana University in Mexico. Thank you very much, Luis Arriaga, his president here, and Dr. Luis Alberto Lara, who is the current director of the Transdisciplinary University Center for Sustainability at the Iberoamericana University. Results were submitted to Father General in February 2025. Next, please. We received contributions from the 6 conferences, Jesuit conference, in the proportions you see on the screen, mainly from South Asia, Europe, and Latin America, and so on. Next, please. A total of 1,407 respondents provided insights representing diverse array of perspectives on ecological practices. 39% of the SG communities and institutional works participated, almost 40% of the whole society. Next, please. 31% of all apostolic institutions, 793 respondents, over 2,554 possible institutions we have, or possible no institutions we have, among them 121 higher educational institutions, and 57% of the whole bunch of communities, Jesuit communities. Next, please. Let's see some key findings. Next, please. We discover a wonderful array of ecological initiatives. Next, please. Ranging from efforts toward CO2 reductions and various projects aimed at mitigating the impacts of climate change and in different ways, alongside with, next please, strategies to slow ecosystem degradation through sustainable local and regional practices, next please, and community-led initiatives on ecological education research, ecological spirituality, awareness raising, conscientization processes, etc. Next, please. We see here, next, please, that technical and infrastructure interventions are the most common category cited: energy and lighting, waste and recycling, habitat restoration, and building and grounds. Next, please. In a second group, we got education, academic programs and formation initiatives, spirituality with the various forms of retreats and exercises, and sociopolitical and community empowerment. Next, please. This survey emphasizes many efforts that align with the Laudato Si goals. There is a multidimensional approach to environmental stewardship. So even if the participation in Laudato Si Action Platform and Laudato Si movement is relatively low, the projects, the whole bunch of projects are diverse and pursue multiple goals simultaneously. Next, please. A good example of this tapestry of ecological initiatives is the Faith in the Wild and the World Religion course at Xavier High School in Cincinnati, where students learn about ecological spirituality in a new outdoor classroom outside the school, interact with the local actors, and write letters to their legislators about the connections between ecological devastation and poverty based on what they have learned through community engagement. Next, please. Second key finding, a ripple effect of good practices. Projects that motivate efforts in local communities or promote the involvement of different organizations in communities. Next, please. The projects were found to have two axes. Next, please, twice. Twice, please, next. First of all, technical resource efficiency and financial access. And then, next, please, three times. And secondly, the educational, ethical, spiritual, or community engagement access. Practical benefits are often highlighted as measurable outcomes, and many also emphasize education as a primary driver impact. Next, please. However, three times, once more. However, it is important to recognize missed opportunities or areas lacking focus, such as business partnership, legal and policy actions, and measurement challenges and impacts, important aspects that we are rated very low. Next, please. Regarding the number of beneficiaries, we found that among those nearly 1,400 projects, almost 50% of projects impacted under 500 people. Next, please. 34% impacted between 500 and 5,000 people. Next. And 16% of them benefit more than 5,000 or even more than 10,000 people. Next, please. Regarding who the beneficiaries of those projects are, we found that 86%, the two main lines there in the graphic, are members of Jesuit communities, 487, and members of academic communities, 407. Next, please. Only 20%, three times, only 20% of the beneficiaries mentioned are from low-income and vulnerable groups, including youth and unorganized people. And next, please. Approximately 5% are peri-urban or rural or agricultural producers, those that are important to figuring out the kind of interventions we are doing just until now. Next, please. Let's explore another experience, this time in Nadvajan, India, Gujarat, where Jesuits from that province have supported a group of women rag pickers for 40 years. They have helped them improve their dignity and quality of life by organizing into an association. This has boosted the health and living standards of their families and neighbors, eventually leading to the Rag Pickers Association being recognized by the local government for their contribution to the environment. Next, please. Third key finding, next. Despite ongoing obstacles, hopeful actions were successful. Next, please. Financial constraints and shortage of human resources were the most commonly cited obstacles, often appearing together in over half of the cases. Next. Also, unsustainable lifestyle practices, both in communities and institutions, or resistance to change traditional ways of doing things are mentioned as important obstacle. And next, please, the absence of explicit ecological goals in the institution's apostolic plans. Those are the most frequent cited barriers. Next. As for the perception and appreciation of collaboration, most of the people, 80%, as you see next, please, view collaboration with external partners positively, even if, as I mentioned before, there are notably low scores regarding collaboration on a broader, more global level, such as with initiatives like Laudato Si Action Platform or Laudato Si Movement, or even with the Jesuit for Climate Justice campaign, as well as informing partnership and collaborations with business groups. Next, please. Next. Next. Just to conclude, possible ways forward. First of all, next, enhance ecological education, not just through teaching, writing, and speaking, but by engaging people and communities in learning process that deepens their appreciation of ethical and spiritual foundation of this universal apostolic preference. This process also encourages creativity and commitment to responding to the earth cries and those of the marginalized. Next. Personal and communal dedication to justice and reconciliation should be grounded in a deep experience of faith. Ignatian spirituality provides everything necessary to build that foundation firmly. Next, please. We are called to engage deeply, in second place, we are called to engage deeply with communities, especially those in most needed, ensuring that our advocacy efforts reflect their needs and hopes, empowering communities to collaborate and achieve greater impact in sustainability initiatives. Next, engaging with targeted groups and diverse stakeholders outside our institutions or communities broadens the impact of social and environmental justice, accelerating social transformation process. Next, please. Finally, we are expected to work together, combining our various expertises to develop innovative solutions for critical issues such as climate change and social inequality. Next, please. It is a leadership, a new style of leadership that actively engages the vulnerable and marginalized, learn from their experiences, and promotes collaboration to create meaningful change for them and with them. By strategically linking institutions, provinces, conferences, and external groups, the Society of Jesus service through innovative and transformative leadership can shape national and international or global policies for integral ecology. Next, please. If you like to have the PowerPoint presentation or need to find more details about the survey results and how other communities or institutions, Jesuit communities or institutions are working to care for our common home, please use the following Q code, or visit the website that is in the bottom of the screen, ecojesuit.com. Thanks a lot.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here, and I want to first thank Father Christie for requesting that an international eco-social inventory be conducted. It was a massive project, and he supported that, supported me and Herman Munoz, who's a worker at the Jesuit Curia, to put this together. If you could put my slide up, my PowerPoint up, please. So this is going to be a preliminary report on the inventory. We based our structure on a similar kind of eco-social inventory that was created for the AJCU 2 years ago. Next, please. So it lists, the inventory questionnaire lists 355 earth care practices across 4 kind of standard dimensions of university life: institutional operations, academic affairs, co-curricular activities, and civic engagement. And the respondents, when they receive the inventory questionnaire, they indicate which practices occur at their institutions from this list, and if they're doing things that are not on the list, they add the new thing that they're doing, so we get a very large collection of very precise activities. So it's a comprehensive global account of how Jesuit institutions of higher education are responding to today's ecological crisis. On the left, you can barely see the questionnaire as it appears, and on the right, the results in bar graph and forms. Next, please. Why do this? It creates reliable information on what Jesuit universities are doing worldwide. If you want to talk to public policy makers, you want to talk to lawmakers about how Jesuit universities are contributing to earth healing, this provides you some empirical data. It also just creates an enormous resource for you and your colleagues at universities to look at, to possibly consider to implement at your universities. And it just really inspired me, it inspired Herman, and it inspires everyone who looks at it to try to do new things and more things. Go ahead, next please. So I'll just mention that in February, the questionnaire went out to all rectors and presidents of Jesuit institutions of higher education in the world with a cover letter from Father Christie. And as of today, we have a 63% response rate. So that's enough to draw some conclusions. We're going to continue to get it up to 100%. But I'll tell you what we've found so far. Go ahead. Kind of data summary. Go ahead. So in institutional operations, there's 80 actions that are listed from under the following subcategories, and I'll just give you quickly some examples in those categories of what's going on. Soil remediation programs, porous pavement programs, carpooling, bicycle programs, trailless dining, local food sourcing, plastic bottle-free campuses, water-efficient appliances, LED lighting, green roofs, high-efficiency heating and cooling, fair trade campuses, just many really interesting things that you are doing in the world that we really should know about. I wanted to mention too, I'm the chair of the Laudato Si University Committee for the Vatican Dicastery on Integral Development. And just 2 months ago, the Laudato Si Action Platform was upgraded. It's much easier to navigate now. They're going to offer certificates to universities on an annual basis if they meet their own Laudato Si plan. So we're doing all right with Jesuit participation in Pope Francis's project, but we could get more participation. So if you're interested in knowing more about how to participate in the Laudato Si Action Platform, just let me know. So 93% of the Jesuit universities responding are doing something in this area of institutional operations, and that's very good news. Next, please. Co-curricular activities, there's about 47 actions there to choose from on the inventory questionnaire. And some of the things going on there are bird feeding programs, campus gardens, a guide for green Lenten services, eco-spirituality retreats, eco-science clubs, groups for indigenous people, sustainable living residence halls, sustainability newsletters, many interesting things. Go ahead. So 89% of Jesuit universities are doing some form of co-curricular activity that relates to earth healing. And that, to me, is also very good news. On civic engagement, there's about 31 actions that we had on the inventory questionnaire, and many universities added the more things that they're doing in their civic engagement. But that includes such things as unhoused outreach, environmental law clinics, environmental lobbies to local government offices, just many, many things, participation in national organizations for environmental protection, international organizations like Greenpeace and et cetera. So 98% of Jesuit universities, this kind of surprised me, the highest percentage of all are engaged in their communities, in their civic communities, local, national, or international, on supporting earth healing activities. So that too, I think, is very good news. In academic affairs, which is supposed to be our wheelhouse, we're universities, there's about 128 actions that are in that category under these subcategories that you could see. There's so many Bachelor of Science degrees in various fields: environmental science, economics, environmental communications, sustainable business. There's public health degrees related to the environment, environmental law degrees. There's centers like earth healing centers and marine study centers, climate change conferences, just many, many interesting things that are going on at Jesuit universities. Go ahead. But here, I think we were surprised. The overall result here is really the lowest of the four categories. Jesuit universities are about 69% of the universities are doing some kind of pedagogical work in the classrooms, or as you see on the left, in grants or in fellowships in those categories to engage in earth care. And I think that's a challenging news. So a key finding, there's many findings, but I would just for us say, I think we need to pay serious attention to increasing our eco-social sustainability education in academic affairs at our Jesuit universities. We're doing a lot of outreach. We have to increase our in-reach. A tentative recommendation would be to develop an IAJU Environment and Economic Task Force consultation service, for helping institutions increase their eco-social sustainability education and their academic affairs. Nancy Tuckman and I are co-chairs of that task force, and we'd be very excited to talk with you about how you could make your universities not just proyecto socials, but proyectos socials y ecológica. Next, please. Some small colleges are doing a great deal in every dimension, in all four dimensions. Some larger ones are doing relatively less. It depends on context, it depends on resources. Regardless of institutional size, though, in the spirit of St. Ignatius, we can and we must do more in our academic affairs, in our academic undertakings. And over the next few weeks, Herman and I will be giving institutions the detailed results of the inventory, and we'll be continuing to request institutions to participate in the inventory. Next. Thank you.
Hi folks, Chris Bacon from Santa Clara University. It's an honor to be with you this morning and to be back in Latin America. I was asked by Father Garanzini and Nancy Tuckman to be the moderator for the next phase. So after we have these two powerful inventories, we want to open up some dialogue, first with participants on the panel, and then hopefully a little bit of time for audience discussion. Just want to briefly mention that I'm also affiliated with the Environmental Justice and Common Good Initiative. And all of this came out of work from our Ignatian Center for Jesuit Education, and an initiative that asked us, that emerged right after the publication of Laudato Si, and asked us, is there a common good in our common home? And challenged us to think about environmental justice and the common good. Next slide, please. Just very briefly, since we're talking about environmental justice, I thought I'd share a definition. First, we consider it, this is kind of coming out of the tradition of public health science, sociology, and social movements in the United States in particular, but it's been interpreted in different ways in Latin America and other places. But here's a definition we like to use. We like to think of it as the right. First is the recognition of justice in terms of the right of all communities to healthy, livable spaces. And second, as procedural justice, right? And the ability to participate in meaningful ways and about the decisions that affect people's lives and their environments. And third, there is distributional justice, protection from environmental risks and hazards. But the second part of that is access to environmental benefits like parks, healthy spaces, even healthy food. And we really, part of the shift here is in defining the environment as the places where we live, learn, work, play, and pray. It's not just what's happening over there, it's what's happening in here and related to our bodies. And hopefully, next slide, we can start to think about how this moves towards even reconciliatory justice or reconciliation, and taking a moment, and the pathway was elaborated in Father Sosa's keynote when he talked about dialogue as this tool for reconciliation. So how do we link justice and reconciliation together is hopefully a bit of what we're exploring. Next slide, please. So without much more ado, I want to introduce our three panelists, Dr. Maria Adelaida Fara Quijano, Father Francis, Father Praveen Martis, and Father Francois Prawanda Kavore. And we're going to kick it off. Next slide, please. The two questions, and hopefully you guys will think about these questions and add your own questions, is how do we achieve a profound culture of integral ecology within our campuses that is transformative and integrated into our daily university lives, making integral ecology a hallmark of Jesuit education. So those that graduate these institutions will know what this means and know what they're a part of. And second, and most importantly, we already had some great suggestions from the beginning, is how can we work together in the next 6 months or in the next 5 years to step up our commitments in response to this 10th anniversary of the publication of Laudato Si. So as we were reminded in Father Sosa's keynote, we commit ourselves to an education of ecological citizens, and this means having the courage and depth of thought to understand our relationships with ourselves, with nature, and with each other. And so this is a call to action. So we're going to kick it off with the presenters on the panel. Next slide, please. With a video from our host institution, which really talks about how the university here has integrated Laudato Si across their curriculum, across their university. And so it takes a little more time. It's an 8-minute video, but given the incredible hosting and the incredible work they're done, we're happy to show this as the next part. Thank you very much.
Bueno, yo quiero contarles, antes de que muestren el video, desde finales de los años 70 del siglo pasado, es decir, hace más de 45 años, la Javeriana ha estudiado los temas ambientales y rurales, y en aquellos años quiero contarles un poco cómo es la historia antes de ver el video. La historia en la Universidad Javeriana de los Estudios Ambientales viene, como les dije, desde hace 45 años, y ahí llegaron personas, profesores, investigadores de Colombia a estudiar los temas ambientales y rurales y tratar de entender estos temas. Imagínense, eso fue hace 45 años, a finales de los años 70. Y quiero mencionar que estos profesores eran vistos por los otros profesores como profesores medio locos porque en ese momento los temas ambientales no eran muy de moda y no se consideraban relevantes para la educación y el desarrollo. Sin embargo, los líderes de la Javeriana los apoyaron porque vieron que estaban haciendo un muy buen trabajo riguroso, académico y pertinente con las poblaciones rurales del país y en temas críticos para el futuro de la humanidad. Y esto, quiero decirles, refleja el enfoque visionario y de vanguardia que hay en la Compañía de Jesús en general y en la Universidad Javeriana en particular. Y como dijo el padre Múnera el martes en su presentación, el trabajo directo realizado por algunos profesores de la Javeriana en ese momento de manera participativa para y con las comunidades rurales y urbanas marginadas en Colombia llevó a la universidad desde estos años a comprender la importancia de estos temas en los procesos de investigación y enseñanza de manera integrada. Por esta razón, la Javeriana acogió orgánicamente la encíclica Laudato Si y luego el Pacto Educativo Global en los temas de tecnología y ecología integral. Y podemos decir que la ecología integral es parte de nuestra formación integral, es decir, la ecología integral y la sostenibilidad en la Universidad Javeriana hace parte de nuestra formación integral como universidad. Ahora, si quieren, veo que están como problemas con el video, podemos poner no, ya lo tienen, creo. Listo, entonces sigamos con el video y ahora les cuento un poquito más.
Lavorare insieme, solo così potremo creare il futuro che vogliamo, un mondo più inclusivo, fraterno, pacifico e sostenibile. La risposta al grido della terra, la risposta al grido dei poveri, l'economia ecologica, l'adozione di uno stile di vita semplice, l'educazione ecologica, la spiritualità ecologica e l'impegno comunitario, perché la nostra madre terra ritorni alla sua originale bellezza e la creazione torni a risplendere secondo il progetto di Dio.
La perspectiva socioambiental, que ha sido una apuesta estructural de la Universidad Javeriana durante décadas, se vio potenciada con la carta encíclica Laudato Si del Papa Francisco publicada en 2015, en la que el pontífice aboga por el cuidado de la casa común, es decir, de todas las personas que habitamos el planeta y de la naturaleza. Por ello, la universidad creó en ese mismo año el Simposio Javeriano Laudato Si, con el objetivo de impulsar transformaciones institucionales y en la sociedad colombiana, desde la ecología integral y el desarrollo sostenible, a partir de la comprensión y apropiación amplia, integradora, multidisciplinaria e interdisciplinaria de los conceptos, principios y propuestas ofrecidos en la encíclica. Este objetivo ha contribuido también a enriquecer y transformar el proyecto educativo javeriano, orientado a la construcción de un nuevo modelo cultural para la humanidad, un modelo de humanismo solidario. En el proceso de enriquecimiento y de transformación del proyecto educativo javeriano, la universidad se ha enfocado en 3 grandes acciones: escuchar, pensar y responder, con el fin de propiciar la comprensión y apropiación de los postulados de la encíclica y de impactar positivamente la vida universitaria. Para potenciar el ejercicio de comprensión y apropiación, se han desarrollado seminarios, simposios, jornadas, conferencias y documentos académicos, entre los que se destacan seminarios, simposios y jornadas sobre el pensamiento ambiental latinoamericano de cara al futuro, crítica al paradigma tecnocrático y su superación según la encíclica Laudato Si, lectura desde los líderes empresariales colombianos, enfoques y prácticas de conservación ambiental, lectura desde la ética y la educación, aprendizajes de la crisis del COVID-19 para afrontar la crisis climática, entre otros. El Pacto Educativo Global, el Magisterio Educativo y Cultural del Papa Francisco, conceptos y praxis del Pacto Educativo Global, los 10 años de Laudato Si, caminos de esperanza en el cuidado de la casa común. Conferencias sobre Amazonía con el cardenal Claudio Humms, Ciudadanía Ecológica con el cardenal Peter Turkson, Cultura del Encuentro con Jeffrey Sachs, entre otras. La producción y divulgación de videos testimoniales y la publicación de varios documentos para el cuidado de la casa común. La apuesta institucional por la transformación del proyecto educativo universitario, desde los postulados de la ecología integral y el desarrollo sostenible, y su respuesta al ejercicio de escuchar y pensar, también ha sido materializada en el desarrollo estratégico y la gestión de actividades universitarias de la Javeriana. En este sentido, es importante resaltar que en la visión de la universidad se incorporó explícitamente el compromiso con la ecología integral. Asimismo, en el desarrollo estratégico de la universidad se incluyó la mega de ecología integral, que busca priorizar en nuestra opción de excelencia humana y académica la interculturalidad y la internacionalización, la fraternidad y la inclusión y el cuidado de la casa común. Para fomentar los postulados de la encíclica Laudato Si, se crearon en 2015 la Política Ecológica y Ambiental y el Plan Ecológico y Ambiental, que fue actualizado en 2018. De la misma manera, estos grandes objetivos de la Javeriana se han concretado en sus dimensiones académica, de construcción de comunidad y administrativa, entre las que se destacan la creación del Instituto Javeriano del Agua, cuyo objetivo es la generación, aplicación y transferencia de conocimiento científico que contribuya a la solución de problemas en la gestión integral del agua. La apertura del Programa Amazónico Javeriano, una red de trabajo académico con perspectiva regional, que busca promover una vinculación armónica y dialogante entre actores de la Amazonía y los académicos de la universidad. La creación de programas académicos inspirados en los postulados de ecología integral y desarrollo sostenible, como las maestrías en energía y sostenibilidad, en restauración ecológica, en bioingeniería y en responsabilidad social y sostenibilidad empresarial. La creación, con criterios de sostenibilidad, de opciones curriculares, asignaturas de varios programas académicos y de educación continua. El lanzamiento del Cosmos Living Learning Lab. El lanzamiento del proyecto Clima's Hub. Desde el año 2016 se han desarrollado 59 proyectos de investigación y 6 actividades de semilleros que abordaron desde diferentes perspectivas y áreas de conocimientos problemáticas asociadas a la ecología integral y desarrollo sostenible. Estas iniciativas tuvieron una inversión por parte de la universidad superior a 1.7 millones de dólares, 7.400 millones de pesos. La Hackathon Internacional Laudato Si, que ha convocado a cientos de estudiantes de 5 países para pensar soluciones a los desafíos socioambientales que hoy enfrentamos. El despliegue de acciones para un campus sustentable en ahorro y uso eficiente del agua y la energía, gestión integral de residuos, infraestructura sostenible y movilidad. La adopción de una política de inversiones financieras responsables y de una política de compras responsables y sostenibles. Y la producción de informes periódicos de sostenibilidad ambiental. Como reconocimiento a este trabajo consistente y dedicado, en 2020, el Dicasterio para la Cultura y la Educación nombró a la Javeriana como universidad promotora del Pacto Educativo Global en el área de tecnología y ecología integral. También, en el año 2024, la Universidad Javeriana es una de las universidades líderes en Colombia en el THE Impact Ranking por su compromiso con los Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible de la ONU, destacándose en los objetivos números 16, Paz, Justicia e Instituciones Fuertes, 13, Acción por el Clima y 15, Vida de los ecosistemas terrestres. Además, la Javeriana se destacó por su compromiso socioambiental como buena práctica en educación superior jesuita de la IAJU. La Universidad Javeriana, desde las ideas de ecología integral y desarrollo sostenible, continuará promoviendo y consolidando su proyecto educativo institucional orientado hacia un nuevo humanismo, un humanismo solidario.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Y solo para complementar el video, un minuto más, quiero mostrarles algo sobre el plan que se nombra en el video, nuestro plan ecológico y ambiental. Este plan tiene cinco programas. El primero es Academia Ecológica. Segundo, hábitos, comportamientos y prácticas sociales. Consumo, uso y manejo responsable de los recursos naturales. y campus sostenible y finanzas ecológicas. Cada uno de estos 5 programas tienen unos subprogramas, como ustedes lo están viendo en la presentación, y también tenemos una estrategia de divulgación y comunicación que es transversal a todo el plan. Esta estructura ilustra la visión integral que tenemos en la Javeriana con respecto a la ecología y al medio ambiente. La integración de estos 5 programas han fomentado una red de relaciones que moviliza a nuestros 30.000 personas que conforman nuestra comunidad universitaria. En cada aula, laboratorio, oficina y espacio de nuestro campus, el compromiso con la sostenibilidad es evidente, tal vez como ustedes lo han estado viviendo en estos días. Y un ejemplo notable fue nuestra participación activa en la COP16 sobre biodiversidad que se llevó a cabo el año pasado aquí en Cali, y fue un evento extraordinario donde nuestros profesores, investigadores y estudiantes desempeñaron un papel protagónico tanto en la difusión científica como en las negociaciones estratégicas globales que se llevaron a cabo en esta COP, reafirmando cómo para la Javeriana el cuidado de la biodiversidad y la generación de conocimiento para el bien común son una prioridad para nosotros. Muchas gracias.
Good morning to all of you. I am here from South Asia to speak about the ecological justice and respond to those 2 questions that are asked at this moment. The Jesuits in South Asia have demonstrated a deep commitment to environmental study and biodiversity conservation well before it gained public attention. Jesuit institutions have long promoted environmental consciousness through education, research, and active student engagement. The initiatives extend into fields such as biopesticides, biodiversity, preservation, ecological conservation, bioenergy, and advocacy via Jesuit social service centers. This mission is further guided by Laudato Si, where Pope Francis frames ecological responsibility as a moral and spiritual imperative. The slides can move, and as I speak, yes. Aligned with this, the universal apostolic preferences of the Society of Jesus emphasizes care for our common home as central to all Jesuit missions. Pope Francis' encyclical calls for an integrated approach to ecology, emphasizing the link between care for the environment and justice for the poor. At this moment, I would like to mention the name of our great champion, Father Stan Swami, who really fought for the water and the land and also for the forest. We speak about Jal, Jungle and Jameen, and he has really fought for it, and that is what we truly consider as ecological justice. Jesuits in South Asia have embraced this call as a spiritual and ethical responsibility, weaving it into the fabric of their mission. We constantly meet as members of JEHASA and also reflect on this theme. And according to this, we have come up with certain ideas. In this spirit, the Universal Apostolic References for 2019 to 29 include caring for a common home as one of their core pillars. This commitment calls for active response to both the cry of the earth and the cry of the marginalized, inspiring action and advocacy across Jesuit communities as well as Jesuit institutions. For Jesuits, concern for the environment is not optional. It is central to their mission and identity. This commitment is evident in the inclusion of environmental education at personal and organization levels, organizing ecological justice as a vital part of their social and spiritual mandate. The slides can move. I'm just giving few examples of how we have personalized this in our own institutions. I've given an example of St. Aloysius University, and also we started in St. Joseph's in Trichy, this movement called Shepherd. And now we have got this movement in all our education institutions in different names. At St. Aloysius, we have got Sahaya. Slides can move. Yes, this is what the program is. This is where the Jesuits in South Asia have done a lot. We have made this program as a mandatory program for 2 semesters, about 40 hours, and these credits are included in all our certificates. And the students have to go through this process, basically with the Jesuit pedagogy, with the context, and we are giving them this experience, and with the experience they are given a booklet to reflect and to write, and also practice what they have done in their life later on. And for our postgraduate students, we have got 1 week program where they need to go to a village and get confronted with the reality there, and also learn and reflect about it and come back to the institution. And that is very important. Can we go on with the next slide? Yes, please. We can move ahead. With the photographs, these are a few photographs. You can go on with different works that we have done in our institutions. Either it is beach cleaning, or maybe, yes, you can go on with the fruits, plants that are given to the students to be planted in their homes. And these kind of activities with the water recharge wells and the solar energy in all our institutions. And you can move on with some more slides, yes. And this is fruit giving, where we give the plants to the students and also the community, and they plant it. You can move further. Yes, this is biodiversity, where we also take care of the birds and other species and also map them. Next, please. This is another important initiative of giving something to the community, especially with the prisoners. We have started this work in the prison by educating them in the organic farming, as well as also the herbal medicine and also preservation. That's very important. Next point. Next slide, please. Yes. These are other initiatives that we have taken. You can move on. You can move on with the slides. These are just, you can go ahead. Go ahead. Next slides, please. Yes. Yes, next slide. Okay, next slide, next slide. Okay, there's a video. We don't have much time to play. Next slide. Yes. This you can play for a moment. Yes. Next slide. Yes. These are the awards that we have received. St. Aloysius is proud to say that we have received a best award in India itself for Schuck campus ranking, and the 3rd best in the country for preserving. And many of our institutions have received this kind of a ranking, and we are proud of it. As we move forward, what are our initiatives and what we would like to do? As we look ahead, Jesuit institutions have a unique opportunity and responsibility to lead in ecological transformation. A vital first step is to integrate environmental ethics and sustainability into all academic programs, ensuring every student, regardless of their field, develops an ecological conscience to practice what we teach. Campuses should aim for carbon neutrality through renewable energy, green buildings, and energy-efficient operations. Establishing interdisciplinary research hubs focused on climate justice and ecological resilience will help generate knowledge that bridges science, policy, and community. On the operations side, we must move toward zero-waste campuses by improving waste segregation, composting, and recycling systems. We have been doing it regularly in all our institutions, but we need to reach that zero-waste campus. Sustainable water practices, including rainwater harvesting and groundwater recharge, as crucial in protecting and caring for the common home. And spirituality and ecology must go hand in hand. We propose the promotion of eco-spirituality through initiatives like annual Laudato Si retreats and Ignatian ecology modules for staff and students. Collaboration with local communities, whether through afforestation, watershed development, or sustainable agriculture, can deepen our commitment to ecological justice on the ground. Importantly, we must embed environment decision-making processes, making sustainability a strategic priority. Training programs in green skills, ecological leadership, and environmental advocacy will prepare a new generation of change makers. That is what we strongly believe in. Finally, ecological conversion must also become part of our formation programs, not just for Jesuits, but for faculty and the administrative staff, shaping a holistic culture of care. And we also like to propose, like JWL, creating Jesuit Eco-Knowledge Commons, an open access platform where all of us can work together and do wonders. The last slide, which shows, are we really moving forward there, whether it's evolution or we are going back with just throwing plastics and garbages, I think is a strong comment that is there, and we can really reflect on this and move on. Thank you for giving this opportunity and sharing in our common vision. God bless.
Good morning, everyone, and I would like to first thank Father Christie, Father Rector of Javeriana, and all his wonderful team for this successful conference. Thank you also, Nancy, and the whole team for this session. I would like to suggest 3 remarks before I answer the 2 questions asked to us. The first remark is that, so my first remark is, when we talk about Africa, just let's make sure that we have the same understanding. When we look at Africa, actually, in terms of land mass, since we are talking about ecology and environment, we can fit in easily the US, India, China, Western Europe, and so on, and there is still some space. And we are only 1.4 billion. So in terms of population, I think we want to believe that this is the frontier of the next opportunities. 75% of our population is less than 25 years. When we look at the environment, at the center of Africa around the equator, we have the equatorial forest, more than 3 million square kilometers of forest. The desert, but the forest is being depleted, and the desert is more than 9 million square kilometers. The Sahara Desert on the north, we have also a desert in the south. And of course, this is a place of danger for most people. The second remark is that in terms of natural resources, we have the formal mining and so on that is really depleting resources and creating wars. When we think about Congo-Kinshasa, this is, the war there has made more than 5.4 million deaths, which is the deadliest war since World War II. And in small other countries, we also have the same situation. Next slide, please. And I would like to focus, for example, on artisanal mining. On the left side, you can see how people are looking for gold and diamond in Burkina Faso, my home country, where we have gold literally everywhere, to the point that people are digging under schools or whatever to find golds. And students don't want to go to school anymore because they can go and have cash looking for gold. But the consequences are what we see on the right hand in terms of diseases, because water is being polluted and so on. Next slide, please. So to answer my question, the question that I asked to us, how do we answer, how do we raise awareness? At Kosia Jesuit University of Science, which is a brand new university, 4 years old, so we are very happy to be here in one of the oldest and most prestigious universities so that we can learn. There, what we do is eco stuff. First, we use, like you can see, a water pool there, more than 4,000 cubic meters of water for water recycling and water harvesting. We also use solar panels, and our buildings are done in such a way that it's eco-friendly. The university was built on a public-private partnership with the World Bank and the government of Burkina Faso. So we try to meet the world standards in terms of ecological care. And last, we plant trees. On June 21st, we have planted more than 250 trees with the UN volunteers. So my last question then is, in addition to raising awareness in terms of courses, can we pledge here in Bogota that in each of our university, as we do it for the problem of God in most of our universities, can we pledge to have a course on the cry of the earth or the cry of the poor? Thank you for your attention.
And thank you so much, Francois, for a cogent and timely presentation and all the work you're doing and all the journey you made to come here. I know it wasn't easy, and we are delighted to have you here. Now I want to turn, we have just a brief amount of time for discussion, and I really want to ask folks to focus their comments on what can we do next together. What can we do in the next 6 months? What can we do in the next 3 to 5 years? Who would like to go first to sort of kick off some ideas?
I think I have already mentioned that in my presentation. I think others can present it, yes.
Maria and Roberto también.
Ok. La formulación, yo quiero proponer un tema muy concreto que es la formación y el fortalecimiento de comunidades de aprendizaje y práctica entre los miembros de nuestras universidades, profesores, estudiantes, pero también personal administrativo e inclusive exalumnos. Pues dado que ya hemos visto que atender los temas de la justicia socioambiental son temas integrales y que permean todas las universidades. Puede ser inclusive, como lo había mencionado Michael, un task force para un trabajo colaborativo entre todos. Y esto puede incluir, una primera cosa es compartir prácticas exitosas, pero también pueden ser prácticas que no han sido tan exitosas y que no nos han funcionado, para que hemos trabajado en las universidades como nos los han mostrado en las encuestas que ya nos presentaron en todos los ámbitos. Y algo que es muy importante tener en cuenta es que todas las prácticas, los proyectos deben ser tenidos en cuenta en términos del contexto donde se dan. No hay fórmulas mágicas que apliquen igual para todas partes.
Perfecto, muchas gracias. Y Roberto, ¿quería compartir también?
Yo quisiera como hacer dos anotaciones. La primera es con relación a la necesidad de algo que mostrábamos en la exposición mía, de salir de los muros de la universidad o del círculo referencial de la institución y encontrar gente que está haciendo cosas similares, incluso mejores que nosotros, y colaborar. La invitación de la cuarta preferencia dice colaborar en el cuidado de la casa común, no es cuidar de la casa común, dice colaborar, es el verbo que usó el Padre General y eligió después de un discernimiento muy largo. Y entonces todo lo que hagamos por colaborar con entidades de la iglesia y de fuera de la iglesia, con las cuales encontramos puntos comunes, no necesariamente en todo, es una ganancia muy grande. No podemos seguir haciendo cosas bonitas para las comunidades jesuitas y para las instituciones nuestras. Tenemos que seguirlo haciendo, pero tenemos que tener la osadía con el poder que tienen ustedes tan institucional en sus países de liderar con otros, colaborando con otros, no necesariamente que colaboren con nosotros, el camino hacia un mundo más justo socioambientalmente para todos. En ese sentido, quisiera hacer un llamado. El Secretariado de Justicia Social y Ecología en Roma le han pedido que lidere como la presencia de la Compañía de Jesús en la COP30 en noviembre. Y hemos empezado desde Bakú 2024, el año pasado, un proceso doble que llamamos uno de Heart Advocacy, que es la advocacy del corazón, de cómo cambiar la mentalidad, educarnos, saber de qué se trata la COP, por qué me tengo que involucrar, cuáles son las posibilidades que tengo en mi alrededor, qué es lo que se discute, qué son las National Determined Contribution, por qué es importante, todo eso. Eso es Hard Advocacy, eso está siendo realizado durante todo el año. Y hay una serie de actividades de Hard, de Advocacy, de dura, que estamos realizando también. Hubo 7 personas en Bonn participando de parte de la compañía en los diálogos del organismo subsidiario 62, de la reunión número 62. Pero hay un momento muy importante al que yo quisiera invitar a las universidades que nos acompañen también, no solo cuando lleguemos en noviembre a Belén a participar una docena o una quincena de jesuitas y colaboradores. No podríamos hacer mucho. El momento más importante es entre junio, finales de junio y julio, y septiembre. O sea, desde que terminó Bonn el 26 de junio hasta septiembre, los países, las partes del acuerdo están discutiendo sus posiciones nacionales. Y ahí es un momento clave para hacer advocacy a nivel nacional y local. Ustedes tienen contactos, tienen relaciones con los ministerios de Educación, con el Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores, con el Ministerio de Asuntos Agroforestales o como se llama en cada lugar, con el presidente de la República, con los representantes y negociadores de la COP. Hay un statement, una declaración que la compañía global puso online, la encuentran con el mecanismo de búsqueda en la página de la compañía o en la página del secretariado, en que estamos abocando, estamos defendiendo 4 causas y en ese mes y medio, entre julio y septiembre, en esos 2 meses necesitamos que todas las obras jesuitas puedan hacer énfasis en sus países en los 4 llamados que se hacen.
Gracias. Muchas gracias. And then for just anybody who wasn't following the translation, quick summary is one of the key things is a call to action with the Society of Jesus for responding to COP30. It's something we can all work on together, particularly under national delegations up through the end of September. There's also major work that's being done by leaders in this room. I encourage you to reach out to them for the role of Jesuit colleges and universities at COP30. And that's a concrete action that's going to be happening by November. Brazil is one of the best chances to make a change.
Hello. Okay, several years ago at Loyola University, we instituted an environmental awareness course that every one of our 13,000 students must take. It doesn't matter whether they're psychology majors, history majors, business majors, so we wanted to be sure that no one graduated from Loyola without an awareness of our water issues on this planet, biodiversity, and climate change. And I'll tell you that the marketing value when parents realize we have this course, it is to our advantage, not only in the education of our students on basic environmental issues, but it is an attractor of students to our university.
Thank you so much. I think just to represent the time, so really another clear example of developing a required course that teaches integral ecology that can be used across all these different institutions. In our last 4 minutes, I want to call our chair, Nancy Tuckman, back to offer us some concluding remarks. Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. It's been really nice to hear all the things that are happening at our universities. Javeriana is such a terrific example of how what I think is maybe one of the most important things, building a deep ecology culture in your universities so that no students can go through your 4-year programs and not know anything about the environment. I think that's really critical, and it's a responsibility for all of us to raise awareness and call our students to action, but also do it ourselves so that we're walking the walk and leading by example. And I would just say from my experience, one of the most important things to help move a university forward on addressing the cry of the earth is to have the presidents put it into their strategic plan and make it very clear that this is a priority of our university. That goes a long way because you typically can call on the students to push from the bottom up and demand that we're doing more and not using plastic and planting more trees. And if you have a president saying, yes, this is what we want to do, then you'll find the faculty and the deans and the department chairs and the staff who are sort of the middle managers that can help make things happen. So I think that leadership is a very important thing, and I would just encourage all the presidents in the room and vice presidents to consider really putting it as one of the top priorities of your universities. That mobilizes the people that all work below you. Secondly, I would say a very effective thing is using your campus as a laboratory. And again, in the video that we saw of Javeriana, you can see all the different activities that are going on that are visible, that students are participating in, that people can walk by and say, wow, what are you doing there? That's so cool. So it's something that animates the entire campus if you can use the projects that you're doing right on your campus as a way to raise awareness and call more people to action. So I want to leave on a good note because the environmental crisis is coming down on us much more quickly than we are able to respond to it. But if each one of us continues to think about intentionally how we use energy, how we use resources, that helps to build a culture, and it's that deep culture that Pope Francis talked about that will move mountains. Thank you.